The other big game in the NBA yesterday, Celtics and Sixers, maybe the game of the season so far. Fourth quarter, Boston down 1. Kyrie to give the Celtics the lead. 20 seconds to go, down 2. Kyrie again. This to tie it. Philly would have a shot to win in regulation, but Gordon Hayward all over J.J. Redick. Can't get that one to go. We are going to overtime where, once again, Kyrie steps up. 2 big three-pointers, one there to give the Celtics the lead, and then this one to ice it. Boston beats Philly 121-114. Chris Broussard, how impressive was Kyrie Irving last night?
It was incredible. You saw why, even with LeBron James on the team, Kyrie was the closer in Cleveland. And what was most impressive is he did it with Jimmy Butler on him. And that defense was good. Like that shake and bake, turnaround, mid-range shot in the paint. You couldn't have played better defense than Butler did. A lot of the Celtics' problems right now, or up to this point, have been, it's not his fault, but they have been because of Kyrie, the difference in style. Like last year, they were an equal opportunity offense without him moving the ball.
Yes.
He's an ISO guy. He's going to take a lot of shots and all that. But come playoff time, they will need him. And last year, I don't think they needed it as much because the East wasn't as good. And outside of Cleveland, it really wasn't a good conference. This year, with Toronto, Milwaukee, Philadelphia being improved, they're going to need somebody that can just take over at the end of games. And their combination, I believe, of Brad Stevens' great coaching, the other players, intelligent play, and Kyrie's one-on-one ability still could get them out of the Eastern Conference.
Yes, it definitely can. But ultimately, Brad Stevens, he's got to be able to change with this massive amount of talent that he has. So to me, part of the problem is Brad changing, because the only thing that's really changed for them, they brought everyone back except Gordon and Kyrie. Typically the most two talented players, and players with Gordon Hayward being one of the most versatile players. You would think that I'm going to add these two and it's just going to build. No, they have struggled, and it's about style. How Brad wants to coach. Brad likes to control the game. Kyrie has a feel for the game. He has a feel for running his own thing, and he can get his own shot. Kyrie don't need you to call a play. Right. Oh, he can either take you off the bounce or call someone for a pick and roll and be able to get his shot off that way. So it's going to be let's see going forward. Let's see who wins out. Or is Kyrie? Because I don't believe Kyrie can change at this point in his career. And I believe Brad Stevens is going to have to make some adjustments for them to be able to reach their potential. But him shining the way he did, it speaks to one of your points, Nick, because you were worried about this. Because I think Boston can represent the East in the finals. And Nick said, well, when they played the 76ers, they played Toronto. Who's going to be the best player on the court? Well, yesterday, Kyrie, if he's able to play that level, he can do that against Toronto or anyone else in the East.
And most of the season, except for maybe the first 10 games, he's been the best player.
Well, he's certainly been the best player on the Celtics. I don't think to Chris's point, I think throughout the year, Kawhi or Giannis or Embiid have been having better seasons. But last night wasn't the case. Last night, though, what was the case is this: the same thing that happened in that damn playoff series last year, where 3 games come down to the end, and that was Boston without Kyrie. Boston can close plays after timeout plays because they didn't have Kyrie to do it offensively, and the other team has no idea what they're doing at the end of games. Listen, I like Brett Brown, and I think his ability to weather the storm of the process, a lot of coaches would have melted down. A lot of coaches wouldn't have just wanted, I'm going to have 60 lost seasons on my resume year after year. And clearly he's liked within that organization. But if with a timeout and 16 seconds left, you don't call it, and the play you get is a Ben Simmons, J.J. Redick dribble handoff, then what are you there for?
Right.
Because that Kyrie bucket against Jimmy Butler, where I agree with you, I thought Butler played excellent defense. I thought Kyrie took a very difficult shot. He just made it because he's a special player who was having a tremendous game. You're tied. You're fine. You're tied with the ball, less than 24 seconds to go. You're not necessarily going to win that game, but you got to get a good shot. This is a contested J.J. Redick long two. When Jimmy Butler's playing well, when Embiid's doing what he's doing, Jimmy Butler's on the weak side of the court, never even involved in the play. That's what killed Philly last year. What do you do at the end of games? They added Jimmy Butler, so they had the answer to that, and they didn't use that advantage in this spot.
But isn't that on Brett Brown?
That's my point. Like that's on coaching at the end of the games.
No, there's no question. I thought the same thing. It looked like last year's playoff series where Philly could have won that thing 4-1 if they knew how to play in the clutch. I think a lot of it's on Brett Brown, who is a good coach, but at the end of games, they look lost. They had 7 turnovers in the fourth quarter in overtime last night. Boston had 9 for the entire game. Some of it, though, is Ben Simmons not being any threat, because a lot of times he's coming down and you want him to create something and you know he's not going to shoot.
This is the thing, too. You have to put some of the responsibility. I hate just blaming the coach because it's obvious their team philosophy was in this game-winning situation, we're not going to call a timeout. They gave the ball to Ben Simmons because they believe he's going to have the ability to be able to start the play. He doesn't have that ability. And sometimes when you have a guy who you think is going to be a superstar, you start doing things that's not what's best for the team, but what's best for him. And Ben Simmons' lack of it, and I'm going to stay on this until
it's not true.
It's always going to be true. He's going to be a guy that's going to go through his career and can't shoot the basketball. Like shooting the basketball.
You don't think he's going to improve?
Why should I think so?
Well, what I'm being told, he hadn't worked on it.
Right.
That's the, like, I don't know if he's going to get to a place of embarrassment or something where he's just going to decide I'm going to work on it. But you're right. If he don't work on it.
I'm not going to appropriate player development just for guys because a guy has some type of skill. You're going to either have to show me or tell me that there's a plan to this guy getting better. Shooting the basketball is the hardest skill in the NBA of all the things. It's not dribbling. It's not scoring in the post. It's shooting the basketball consistently. We've had player after player NBA say, man, you have to shoot thousands upon thousands of shots. So I'm not going to appropriate that because I know how hard it is. Obviously, this is his what season?
This is technically his 3rd year.
Okay, it's his 3rd year in the NBA. What's the problem? You don't have no classes to go to. Your responsibility every day is just to get better as a player. Pick out your weaknesses and work on them. And obviously, he's not doing enough work that is not transferred over to a game situation.
And that's what, to me, what you said is what's so disappointing, because I did appropriate some of that to him, because I do think the best players in this league every year in the offseason try to add something to their game at this phase in their career. We've seen Embiid do it, saw Giannis do it, seen Anthony Davis do it. And to me, Ben Simmons, it was not only because of the #1 overall pick, but also because what I saw from him the moment he got to the NBA, I'm like, okay, that's the trajectory he's on.
Right.
To be an MVP discussions.
What I saw was a guy who has a unique skill set. He was a big guy who could dribble the ball and had the ability to be able to pass it. But he is not a point guard. He does not know how to run a team. And it's obvious in 3 years, he does not know how to develop a shot. He still gets in midair and decide, I don't know if I'm going to shoot it left-handed or right-handed. His free throw shooting is poor. So I just have not seen it, and I refuse to appropriate that type of belief just because a guy is 6'9" and can dribble.
But the point I was trying to make, is that but after last year, which, yeah, it was his 2nd year in the NBA, but his 1st year playing in the NBA, I looked at his game and I said, if I'm Ben Simmons, if anyone around Ben Simmons, what's the thing he works on this summer? Some jump shot, some mid-range shot. And even if he didn't have it figured out in the summer, because you can't, to come back to where it looks like, oh, now he's willing to shoot a 12-footer. And that's what's been disappointing for me is he looks like, and you've actually talked to some people, so you know better than me, he looks like a guy who didn't work on it this summer, who this summer didn't spend time improving that part of his game. I couldn't have predicted that. Like you did, that's a credit to you.
Isn't that on the team? I don't know.
No, that's on him.
It's not on the team?
It's on him. He is, the offseason is his time, and he's supposed to be in the gym doing something to improve his game. He's the same guy he was last year, which is a really good player, but a very limited player with one enormous deficiency.
They have, and I'll say this quickly, the maturation both physically and mentally of Embiid and Simmons is how far this team's going to go. Right now, they have a long way to go in terms of maturation, and they probably won't get there this year, and they're going to be disappointing again.
Chris Broussard, it is so fun having you here. Thank you so much for
everything. All right, man, we'll see you NBA playoffs or something.
Let's take a break. Coming up, can the Steelers salvage a disappointing season next time?
I know what happened. Colin Cowherd, he also, when they interviewed, hey, man, should we bring Broussard? He was like, yeah.